Hey everybody out there, this is Seto. I do apologize guys, I've had a lot going on this week and I'm still dealing with it. A lot of personal stuff with my car, so just been busy with work as well. So I do apologize for no deck profiles. I have been working on them. I have a whole bunch of them lined up right now actually, so I will be getting to those shortly. But I wanted to talk to you guys specifically today about a card that got announced for the Megatins a few days ago, and that being Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator originally came out as a V-Jump promo, if you guys don't know, about 2 years ago in the OCG, and it really changed up the OCG and their deck building strategies. I think that's without question what we saw has happened over 2 years, and people have been waiting and predicting when this card's going to come out, what's going to happen. And I believe when it comes out it will be expensive, but that's not what I want to talk about in this video about really. More or less, I want to talk about the card's applications and how I don't know if it's as good as people make it out to be honest. Because I hear a lot of people who have just been waiting and waiting and waiting on this card talk about, oh, it's gonna be so good, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. And while I agree with some of those statements, I don't know if it's as good as some people hype it up to be, so to speak. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is, it's a good card, but is it as good as people are trying to say it is? Is what I'm trying to say. Be wary of what you hear. Why am I saying this? Because I've had some good conversations with some buddies of mine. So let's cut to it. Let's go over the card text of Crossout Designator. I'm just going to read it off my phone here. Declare one card name, banish one of that declared card from your main deck, and if you do, negate its effects, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of cards with the same original name. Okay? Until the end of this turn. It's a quick effect, by the way, if I didn't mention that. You can only activate Crossout Designator once per turn. So it is a quick effect. That is something to keep in mind. One of the reasons why it is such a great card, the versatile usage you can use it for. However, I've had some conversations with my buddies of mine, and pretty much I wrote this down, what we talked about. Pretty much, we believe, and I agree with this completely, is that this is a card that's going to be played in every combo-oriented strategy as well as some control-based decks. I think that's without saying. It will be play. It will see play. But my thing is, and I'm going to read you right here too, I don't know if it's a better Call by the Grave, like people are hyping it up to be. Because, and while I get the comparison, I don't agree with the comparison fully. The thing with this card is, it's a little bit more, you have to build your deck around things. Call by the Grave, you could chuck in anything. It's going to negate anything. It doesn't matter. Crossout Designator, you got to have that hand trap in your deck. And there's such a wide variety of hand traps that are played. Yes, everybody plays Ash Blossom to some degree, I feel like. But different people play different hand traps. I've always found some people prefer Gamma, some people prefer effect failures, some people prefer this, some people prefer drill and lockbirds. It just depends on the meta, and that's with this card. You have to know what a majority of the meta is playing to run this. Now, what we saw in the OCG do when this card came out initially is pretty much everybody was running a bunch of one-of hand traps. One effect failure, one Ash Blossom, one of this, one of that. Like, it was just like, okay, interesting. And there's a lot of onesies and twosies of hand traps, no longer threes hand traps to make space for this stuff. And that's where I'm like, I don't know if it's better than Call by the Grave, because Call by the Grave, you just run 3 of it, and pretty much you don't need to worry about running these onesies and twosies. Let alone you draw that hand trap that is the one your opponent is using, and you pretty much have to look at your opponent and say, crud, my Crossout Designator is kind of dead. Do you have any other hand traps? Nope. Oops. So that's the thing with Crossout Designator that I don't like. Because Call by the Grave, you chuck it, it negates everything. Now, the problem I have with Call by the Grave is it's a good card, but the question comes to, is it going to be running the main or side deck? I fully believe it's going to be running the main deck because people are people and it's so hyped up and people have been anticipating it. People are going to play it in the main deck and it will be an expensive card upon release. But my question to you is, what deck are you playing? Like I was saying, is it a control-based deck? Is it that? Because, and this is a quote my friend said, and I fully agree with it. It offers protection at the cost of consistency. That's what Cross-Eyed Designator does for you. It offers you protection from hand traps. But the downside, the dual-edged blade, is consistency. Okay, you may be saying, ooh, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say here. Because Cross-Out Designator is only as good as the deck you're playing against. If it's a mirror match, Cross-Out Designator is amazing of a card. It was built for the mirror match, clearly. This card hurts mirror matches. The reason, and so it's a great card in that aspect. It's great against the mirror match. Amazing. It's decent. Good, even. Not great against hand traps, depending upon how you build your deck. And that's why it affects deck building strategies so much, because you have to build your deck around Cross-Out Designator. Not the other way around, where you could build the deck and then put Cross-Out Designator in the deck. It's good against cards or staple-esque cards. But what if you're playing against a non-meta deck? What are you going to do? Hope to hit the hand trap they may have? Maybe they're playing something different? Okay, maybe they're not running that card you thought. You know, people do different deck strategies. And that's why I love and Cross-Eyed Designator is that you get to play mind games with people. Oh, you think no, I'm not running that in my deck. Ha! You just banished that card for nothing, man. Sorry. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, is it's a good card, but it's a dual-edged blade. The other thing you have to keep in mind with Cross-Eyed Designator, guys, is while it is great in that aspect, it depends on the meta, and it depends if you're facing a mirror match. It depends on your matchup, really. That's what Cross-Eyed Designator is. You have to tech out your side deck, really, to use Cross-Eyed Designator. And while I do think it's a great card and will be played probably in the main deck, even though I somewhat think it should be played more in the side deck. I get why it would be played in the main deck. Like I said earlier, it's been hyped up. People are going to try to find a way to abuse it. It's good against staple-esque cards. But when you're say you're going, and this is where I have a feeling someone's going to do this, or get really far in a major tournament, because they're going to play again. With the mindset that everybody's playing Cross-Out Designator against me. And because of that reason, they're probably going to take in a rogue deck that's not running, it's running some staples, but it's not going to be running like key combo-esque staples. And they're going to run into somebody that's just like, oh, fudge, like my Cross-Out Designator is crossed out itself, so to speak. So, because it's not as useful. That's the problem with this card. I think Call by the Grave, and this is something I heard about a year ago, and I think people are just really hyped up right now. Call by the Grave is good for what it does, for stopping hand traps. Cross-Eyed Designator is a good substitute. The reason also, and I don't hear this enough from people who are talking about Cross-Eyed Designator, they're just like, oh, it's going to be played in the meta, it's good, we've been waiting for this for 2 years, oh, Mega Tins. Like, because there's nothing else going on in September with Yu-Gi-Oh! So they gotta hype something up, it feels like. Just saying. Is the fact that why did it become so stinking popular in the OCG compared to the TCCG? Well, I think there's a card that we all have hoped to come back, and it may come back because of Cross-Out Designator, but it's not legal here in the TCCG at the moment of me making this video. And that is a card called Max C. Yeah, Max C is legal in the OCG, guys. If Max C was legal here in the TCCG, what do you think? How many would you run of it? Yeah, you probably run that. Maybe some other hand traps. You get this oh, now you're like, oh, probably going, oh, no, I see why. Yeah. Everybody loves a draw card, right? Everybody loves their ooh, Max C. Remember that Max C challenge? Yeah, remember that, guys. Remember those days for you older school players. So that's what I'm trying to say. You have to remember that. That card's legal over there. It's not legal over here. And the other thing you have to keep in mind too is, and this is something that people, this is what I always say, just because it's popular in the OCCG doesn't mean it's going to do well over here in the TCCG. How many times have we seen a deck not do good in the OCCG and then people hype it up over here saying it's going to be the next greatest thing? It doesn't work. Or it doesn't work in the OCCG, works in the TCCG. Like because the metas are so different. The ban lists are different, thus this is going to be the case. So, like, I mean, sometimes, like, we look at an OCCG ban list like it just happened. We're like, why did they hit that card? Like, it's not doing anything over here. Oh, yeah. Their mindset, the way they play is very different than us. Even their ban list. Even their card pool is different than us. It can sometimes be a good gauge, but I think sometimes people look down the rabbit hole too much and fall in and say, oh, it's great. So you have to keep all these things in configuration. I'm not saying the card's bad at all, but I think it's only as good as its matchup, and you do have to sacrifice consistency for the sake of protection. And it's really good depending upon your matchup. And because the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene is a lot of the same decks sometimes, depending upon the format. You usually have 1, 2, or 3 deck. Cross-Out Designator will be seen play for the foreseeable future in main decks because people are going to anticipate it to help you win game 1 against a mirror-based deck on top of being a nice hand trap protection card. But if you're playing against a rogue deck, if you're playing against a deck that does not play a lot of staples and plays something completely different, what are you going to do if you play a Cyber Dragon player and you are playing, oh, I don't know, something that is not Cyber Dragons? Maybe you're playing Drytons and you can stop the Cyber Emergency. That's about all you could do, probably. Like, you see what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it can maybe stop the hand trap. Woo! But they're Cyber Dragons. They're going to go for your throat and try to get you. So it's only as good as the matchup and your side deck. That's my thoughts. See, this is where I think it's going to play out. This is just me, guys. Unless Max C comes back, it's going to be played in main decks. It's going to get hype. You're going to see people try to build decks around Cross-Out Designator for probably a few months. Because the card's going to be super expensive, they want to use it. They want to justify it, just being honest. And what you're going to see after that probably is either you're going to see Maxi get hit or you're going to see it be used from the main deck to the side deck more. Because people may find out that, hey, it may not be as good. Now, granted, this may be different. This, just from what I've seen with trends in the past, and Cross-Out Designator is a little bit different than other trends. Because this card, people are comparing it to this and this, and I'm just like, I see the comparison, I see what you're saying, but I don't think you understand the difference in the metagame and the card and what it's really, really good at and what it's just okay at. It's great against a mirror match. Amazing! But are you going to, unless the meta is Dragon Ruler, Dragon Ruler, Dragon Ruler, or like, you know, every meta deck out there, everybody's gonna be playing Drytron, and you're playing Drytron, then yeah, that card is very good in the main deck. If it's a very common meta deck, yeah, you run it in the main deck because it's great against the mirror match, hands down. But if if you run into Rogue, you only got the freaking staple cards to hit, and what if they're not running every staple card? There's going to be mind games where somebody's going to not run Lightning Storm in the main. They put it in the main. The person's like, oh, they're not running these cards. I'm going to take out Cross-Out Designator because you're going to see mind games be played a lot. It's going to be funny to watch because it gives an element of really utilizing the side deck more, which is really cool. We haven't seen that in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a long time where people are going to utilize side deck games. I mean, I think that will be more of a thing. But I think it's going to affect more competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Compared to your casual fun dot deck. So it's a dual-edged sword. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. This is just me hypothesizing, theorizing from talking to buddies of mine. In addition to that, and just from seeing trends in the past over the last 20 years of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So tell me your thoughts down below. How do you think it's going to play out? Let me know. Take care, guys. Till next time, good luck dueling to all of you. And remember, guys, enjoy this game. It's a hobby, and enjoy it for fun. Take care, everybody. Good luck dueling to all of you. Seto Kaiba, I'm out.